such a silly piece.
There's two ways of looking at it, because the fact that it did this was pretty good. I didn't read the one from a year ago, um, but this one, after you're all saying, "Oh, it sucked." Well, yeah, I mean it's not great, but the fact that it did this is pretty crazy, you
The
know?
only thing I had to tell it was write a script for Happy Days and feature Ralph and Potsy.
Yeah, I mean,
That's nuts. It's a couple of days later, and Don is feeling better, and so I just want to make sure he's sort of part of the conversation. Uh, Don, what did you think of the script? And remember, there will be no hurt feelings because it was written by ChatGPT.
right. Well, I know I heard some of the other comments, how it sucked and all, but it's I know all you did was tell it, just write a Happy Days script that features the characters of Ralph and Potsy. I mean, that's all you told it.
Yep.
And to think that it came up with even this, I mean, it's not the greatest script, obviously. I mean, we've done some that are considerably better, but I think it sucks when you think about the fact that what it did with such little input, and and it did capture some of the character qualities of the different roles, and and surprisingly, I thought so. Give it another year to, who knows how great it could be, but it was. I'm sorry. Am I back?
It knew Happy Days. It knew who Ralph and Potsy were. It knew who Mrs. Cunningham was.
And Arnold, and
And Arnold.
and it kind of captured, like I said, some of the essence of those characters. And could it have been the dialogue been a little sharper and a little funnier, a little, a little wittier? Yeah, but I'm still pretty amazed at what it generated.
It's kind of nuts. How did it feel? Sort of, I know you've done some readings, during COVID, with to do a couple of Happy Days readings. How did it feel to sort of inhabit Ralph again for just a couple of minutes?
It's kind of strange, because all of a sudden, I didn't really think about it too much, like how do how am I going to get back into the character? I didn't like watch myself, on
Right.
old episodes. I just figured, I could jump into it, and I kind of did. I just kind of, it's I guess it's so ingrained in. Yeah, we did it for well, I did about 175 episodes. They did 250, but it wasn't too hard to get back to it. I mean, I'm a little older now, so some of it might not have quite the enthusiastic, youthful delivery,
The wide-eyed, yeah.
but it sort of mimicked it to a good degree, I think.
It's fun to revisit. It's fun to revisit those characters. One of the things that Anson and Don, Anson and Bill talked about were just how those scripts were done back in the day. Bill mentioned at one point, well, you know, some of the seasons were were not as good. Because maybe during one of those seasons this might work. And I asked him if this would be even remotely a springboard for a plot or something like that, because it didn't just do the lines; it came up with
With a story.
with a story. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, and Bill felt that, well, it could have been a springboard, right? I think that's what he
He
might have said.
well, he's like, the character motivations didn't make any sense, and they talked about the realism of, they talked about how Gary Marshall, for example, would ride buses and listen to people talking and jot down bits of dialogue, and he talked about the first time that he handed in a script, and I forget exactly the way that Gary put it when he was sort of giving him, he didn't say this sucks. He's like, it needs a little bit more work or something like that.
All right.
Um, and
But
yeah, go ahead.
but I mean, but the idea, the basic plot of Ralph and Potsy deciding to start a business together, um, that certainly would would ride, that would play and make
Yeah,
sense. And the fact that they do it by getting buying bulk candy and then selling it, to kids at school or something like that. I mean, that's pretty good idea. So I think that basic storyline, um, is I think that could have potentially have been an episode. I think so.
what do you think about AI? We're watching this happen so fast, and I know you're probably not tracking it as much as I am, but
Mm.
do you think it's the end of civilization as we know it? Is it? What do you think of it when you sort of look at this?
Well, you're right. I'm not up on it, and I'm a little bit out of the loop to some degree. But I've heard some of the arguments for and against, I guess, and I haven't seen everything, but what they're doing. But it's just like everything else. I mean, it's part of our evolution. And you mentioned, go back to the printing press, and what did that do for people's jobs? And those are some of the arguments you hear, is that was going to take away a lot of people's jobs. Um, I think to some degree, the internet, Google has done that too. So it's just sort of the next level, or several levels up. But but yes, but I think in certain areas it's great. I think it could be great. But and I do understand the objection, the resistance to it, and especially people in the entertainment world, because our image, that's part of our livelihood. And if they could just take your image without your permission, and
Yeah.
that's, like I said, it's part of what you are as an actor or celebrity, sports figure. But especially actors, make money. Um, if somebody wants me in a commercial, they're paying you because they want you
They
because you're
want you,
recognizable or whatever. And
right?
in movies, television. So if they could just take your image and then put you in a scene and have you come to life, and without your permission and without you getting paid, that's I think that's a big no. you know
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree. I couldn't agree more. I mean,
that just that's no that's not good. So it's probably going to be some growing pains with this, and maybe there'll be certain regulations and rules that will be set in place that
yep.
should be. And then hopefully we've adapted throughout civilization to all these changes, and I think hopefully that'll happen in this case.
Don, thank you. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, thank you.
I know we have another episode that Anson and I talked about having the two of you get together and actually do together.
Another
And
one.
oh well, there was the yeah, there was the one the reunion of Ralph and Potsy, like
Oh,
like they're like your age now, and
oh,
they get together at Arnold's after a high school reunion to reminisce.
oh. Well, that would
Uh,
be fun. Oh, okay, we'll have
if
to.
you're
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. That sounds interesting.
And maybe in a year or two, we'll do another one of these, and we'll see if ChatGPT can measure up to the original show or not.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
see how it grows.
thanks, Don.
Sure. Thank you.